In the olden days, I, your ancestor, was filthy rich. Infected by nihilism in my wealth-induced stupor, I sought deeper meaning, pouring the family fortune into great expeditions and squandering it on exotic exports and rare trinkets. In the end, I found only ruin and darkness. Now that birthright is yours. Return to our hallowed halls. Undo the ruin I have sown. Recover the family heirlooms and salvage our family fortune from the coffers and trinkets scattered amongst the remnants of my domain. The letter and an old smudged map in his hands. The heir scraped together what remained of his family's dwindling fortune. Nearby that hallowed estate was a burgeoning hamlet. The heir would use it as a base for his new operation. He sent summons to the fringes of its influence, hoping to recruit with the promise of gold swarthy brigands and zealous soldiers alike. You are one of those who answered the summons, hoping to make your fortune or drive out the darkness of the world. From the quiet peace of the hamlet, down the old road through the forest lies the ruined countryside. Therein you will find horrors in the dark, and riches to make a greedy man's mouth water. You will find your place in the heir's employ, or you will find death in the ruined countryside. All right, so this is the fourth week since the heir arrived in the hamlet. At this point, there's almost 2 dozen mercenaries who have taken up residence there, hoping to go on missions for which they are paid well. The ruined countryside is largely unexplored, and the heir has a smudged and kind of messed up map, which is the map which you are currently looking at. The first expedition went to Karadhi, which is some skeletal-looking structures at the foot of a mountain, filled with and undead various skeletons were encountered there. The second expedition was to explore the burrows, some sort of mysterious ancient tunnel in a hillside. Purpose is unknown. There are pigmen who live there who seem to be cannibals and possibly carry diseases. The Salt Tower, the Razor Teeth, the Pier, the Razorland, and the Mansion on the Hill are largely unknown, as the ruined countryside has not been visited for generations of the heir's family. It's a land filled with monsters and terrible things, and there are no settlements within the ruined countryside. The heir might have mentioned, if asked, that the Razor Teeth are jagged rocks that many ships have run aground on. The Razorland is an unapproachable barrier of twisting vines and razor-sharp thorns that can pierce even armor. He knows nothing of the Salt Tower other than it is supposedly a terrible place that induces madness upon approach. The pier is an old structure, the remnants of an ancient harbor that goes nearly a mile out into the bay. And the Mourn it's a swampland full of swamp trees and winding rivers. A yellow growth of fungus is spread across the Mourn, as well as many plants of varying colors. So, where we're beginning our adventure, this happened maybe a day ago before you assembled to go on the adventure. The town crier of the hamlet, a portly man with a ragged face and only half his teeth, was ringing a bell in the hamlet square. Hear ye, hear ye! A pigeon has arrived in the hamlet. The Baron has received a message from the old fisherman. The fisherman's son has ran away and not returned. The fisherman entreats the Baron for aid. Fisherman Thelos is a priest, and the pools around his home are filled with holy water. If the Baron's hired hands deliver the fisherman's son, the fisherman will allow free access to his holy basins. This is an opportunity that cannot be passed up. The ruins of Karadhi teem with the unholy, and an excess of holy water would no doubt be invaluable. You have answered this. You are one of the mercenaries who was able to go on this adventure. You don't have anything too important going on, and you're ready for action. I'm gonna have each of you describe your character. You can give a visual description, like what the other characters see when they look at them. And then if you want to say one thing about your character, like a personality trait people might notice, a funny quirk, a story they might have heard about you, or something your character is fond of, you can let me know. We're going to start with Link. Describe Link, Austin.
Yes, well, Link is a green-clad. Could you show my art to everybody? He's a
I
green-clad,
have done
very
so.
human, carrying a shield and a longsword. He is a fighter and well adept to the martial arts. He made his way as a rustic hero. I saved a family of 5 during a flash flood 2 years ago. Grew up poor. My family were a family of guards for a local town. But now I am out here to make a name for myself, gain some riches, and hopefully make it back home and retire with a family.
Fantastic. Also accompanying Link on his travels is a diminutive blue creature. It is only a couple inches tall, and if you look closely, it has the shape of a woman. Um, Link would know that this creature has healing magic, and it can speak, although it does not frequently do so, and it is also not the most intelligent or durable.
Hmm.
Um, Duran, would you like to describe your character?
Okay, sure. So he's an average human male, somewhat unkempt. He's carrying a large quiver and a sword at his hip. Right now, he's wearing some typical attire of woodsmen or forest keepers, but everybody can see they've seen better days. There's also
Righteous.
a missing patch on his attire. Usually, there's an emblem or maybe a coat of arms there. He seems to keep them himself right now and seems pretty depressed.
Right on. Good description. Stork. Wait, who is Stork? Would you like to describe
Hey,
Stork Can?
okay, so I guess you could say when you first look at him, he's very humanoid. He's a robot, warforged, he's a cleric too. So kind of like I guess how could you just say it? Very enigmatic. He's got blue. He's got blue. His skin is blue, and I guess there's like, and his eyes are glowing green. Wears some leather robes, and yeah.
Right on. Um, Nox, are you here? You're currently muted. You'll need to unmute yourself. Oh, good, you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi there.
Uh,
Would you like to describe your character?
sure. What it takes to get him to do something. Nox is this short, black-scaled kobold. It's as he's most likely walking around, you will see him accidentally trip himself with his tail and try to like quickly pick up his things, which you don't have much of.
Righteous. Very nice. And did you happen to hear the description of the mission you were being sent on?
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. And Lark, would you like to describe your character? Lark's player.
Sure. So, walking out as a 6'3" human barbarian, kind of dressed in usual skins and leathers from traveling abroad hunting people. And in his past life, essentially, the tribe he came from, some stuff. He's trying to help fend and earn money to bring it back up, and with how his family is, and no matter where he goes, he always views who he's with as his own tribe. Uh, Used to make money being a bounty hunter out in the wildlands and all that, so he's used to hunting down, being sent on quests to go look for something, kill something, find people to bring back. And one of the biggest problems he's had, though, since coming back, since actually coming into more civilization and not being out in the sticks, is he has learned he really likes alcohol. So usually, if you have to figure out where he's at, 9 times out of 10, check the local taverns, and you might see he either might be getting kicked out from getting rowdy, or people might be buying him drinks from how rowdy he's been getting.
Right on. All right, that is our party for this expedition. So for the expedition, there is a wagon being sent with you. So in the party folder, there's a document that says provisions. I think anyone is able to edit it, although no one needs to unless you have something you want to add to it. The heir is providing provisions for the journey. It's going to be 6 days to the old church that Thelos lives at, and so you've been given 70 rations. That way, there's enough for the 5 of you for the journey out and the journey back, and a day to try to find the sun. Um, there's also the other things listed. So 15 water skins. That means that every 3 days they will need to be refilled at some sort of spring. And I think it's from the past expeditions, there are some creeks close to the road in places. So that will be totally viable. The bulk of the wagon is filled with 6 casks. 4 of them are laid on end side by side, two in the front, 2 in the back, and then 2 are stacked on top. These empty casks are intended to be filled with holy water from the pools surrounding the desecrated church. Not desecrated, dilapidated, decrepit. Those are the words I was looking for. And so the plan, as the town crier has said, the mission you're being sent on is to find the son of Thelos and return him home so that Thelos will allow the casks to be filled with holy water. Before the journey departs, is there any other provisions that the group would ask for, other than the things listed in the provisions document from the heir?
Do we have a map of how to get to the church?
Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to mark where it was. The church follows the old road past the bend, past Karadhi, continuing straight rather than heading south to the burrows. The road is in relatively good repair around the bend of the forests around here. And if you continue to follow it, although it may become lost at times, you should eventually reach the church about a day's journey from the bay. There are no instructions other than to just follow the road in terms of the location of the church.
Are there freshwater springs along the road, or do we have to go to the river?
At least for the first couple days, I think there is a spring that is usually used to refill about a little more than 2 days in. About 2.5 days near the ruins, there is a spring on the side of the road that has been used in past expeditions. One may need to be found approaching the church, although it's going to be just a little over 3 days, and hopefully there should be water at Thelos' home.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, we can drink holy water.
Yeah. Link is good.
Right.
Duran will ask permission to hunt game if necessary, since this is basically his lands, right?
Yes, this is the heir technically owns these lands, and he would say to hunt anything you see. There are much more nasty creatures here than you will see in other parts of the world, and the deer have much worse things than you to contend with. Anything you want to kill, please kill it.
Okay, I'll give him a nod.
Right. It sounds like the expedition is setting off. So the first few days pass uneventfully. You journey through a thick forest, and I think there is a broken wagon at one point, although it's completely empty and pretty smashed up. Does anyone want to try to scavenge something from the wagon, or it's just something you guys pass by?
Yeah, so Link wants to. I'm going to take all the broken wagon pieces and hopefully... So, when I think about a wagon, I think about there's a wooden frame, and there might be boards in it that might be broken. And then there's the wheels, and they have probably have some kind of iron or steel around, or like an axle that helps bind it together.
Yes.
So I have a proficiency in land vehicles. So I'm thinking maybe I can use my proficiency to know which parts are broken, which parts, might be repairable.
Yes.
And then hopefully I can just take that stuff and load it into the... You said you have a wagon, so I load that stuff into the wagon.
Yes. There's a horse and a wagon, a single strong horse pulling a mid-sized wagon. The wagon is fairly packed with all the provisions and the 6 large casks, but there is room for some smaller things like the screws and bits of hinges and the valuable parts of the wagon, which could be used to repair a wagon should such an event be necessary.
I'll add that to my inventory. Wagon parts.
Very good.
How do the
And we'll
how do
say
the
that
wheels on,
was that?
I was gonna ask, how do the wheels look on this broken down wagon? Do they look salvageable?
Not very. I think maybe 2 of the wheels are even present. There's some wreck of a piece of wood about on the other side of the trail when you look around for a little bit that looks like it could have once been a wheel. The wheels look like they're mostly wooden, but the 2 wheels are lying beside it, and one of them has a bunch of broken spokes, and the other has a deep crack into the wheel part of the wheel.
Like, you think you can fix the wheel so we can probably carry it with us, just in case one of ours breaks?
Link tries to give that a shot.
All right. Give me let's roll an intelligence check with advantage, and we'll add your proficiency bonus, or actually wisdom. You can roll wisdom. It's
Okay.
wisdom's fine, or we'll just use that one since you
Whatever.
pretty well.
You decide.
Yeah. 21. There, it's actually better. So, and it's proficient too. So I think one of the wheels, the one with the deep crack in it, with your expertise, you might be able to repair that wheel, should it be needed. So if you want to roll, if you want to add a wheel to your character sheet, a wagon wheel, which could be stuck in the wagon, you can do so.
Done.
Because I've been on enough expeditions. Never give up an easy fix right here. Because if our wagon breaks down, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere having to hand carry everything.
Agreed. All right, I'm pushing forward.
Righteous. The group continues.
That's
And out of
so-
curiosity, go ahead.
I was just about to say, could not find like just some small item to just toy around with?
Yes, I think there's a metal spring which Link decided was too it was broken off at the ends and it's too jagged to really be useful for repairing a wagon. You can have a metal spring if you want. It's quite springy and stiff.
That'll work. He's just gonna toy around with it.
Fantastic. So question about how you spend the nights. So nothing happens the first 2 nights, but we'll say as the end of the second day of travel into the ruined countryside, you're coming up in the direction of the ruins. The forest has ended almost a day ago, and some tall, jagged peaks loom far in the distance overhead. There's starting to be a little less wildlife, and it's getting quieter. Link is taking the watch shift at night. Anyone else is the rest of the group taking watches as well?
Yeah, I'll be taking some.
I
I'll be
wouldn't mind
taking
Knox will
offering
take
to go.
one. Knox will take one, but he'll take the time to ritual cast Speak with Animals to try and convince them to help him, if possible.
Excellent. Let's see. Give me a wait, are you able to cast Speak with Animals just so we can see the description of it?
Yes. Just
Excellent.
give me 1 second. Come on. Of all times,
is
my
actually-
computer wants to be slow.
That was actually a good idea. I could do the exact same thing too. On my watch to see, because You said there was no animals, or there was a like scarcity of animals around.
So there is starting to be a scarcity of animals. That's the reason I was asking for the description of speak with animals, so I can determine that if some other skill roll is needed to even find animals to interact with, or if the spell automatically can call out to them from afar.
Okay.
I clicked the wrong thing. Did I?
If
I don't
anything,
think
I
so. I'm not
report.
seeing it. There we go. Very good.
Okay.
Information on
But
location
he's
monsters. All right. Nox, give me an animal handling ability check.
okay, and I'm pretty sure I'm proficient with those.
Yeah, if you click it on your character sheet, it should automatically roll.
And you said animal handling?
Yes, unless you want to roll survival, if that's a better roll for you than animal handling. All right.
Eee.
Because you're spending some time doing this, we'll say you have advantage. So, although initially, it's really quiet here, and you definitely, from your experience with nature, you know that this is not ordinary. Even though you're kind of a little bit of distance from the trees, grasslands like this are often full of various bird species and other small animal species. But it's really been really quiet for the last hour or two of travel before you settle down for the day. However, you're able to call out some wood rats. You're able to locate using your druidic knowledge. Some little wood rats come crawling through the grass at your call, and they sit attentively before you. Curious.
Hey there.
The rats look around, searching your camp for food.
Knox will he'll pull out some of his own provisions to give to them as a sign of trust, hopefully.
All right. With your druidic magic and the little bit of food you provide, the rats take some nibbles, and they sit attentively, and you think that they might be willing to follow some simple instructions if you have some instructions for them.
Yes. He will essentially just give them some simple instructions to help patrol the camp. And if they find anything they might deem dangerous, to come alert him.
Righteous. All right. That will be noted. And who's taking the fourth watch?
I can do
We've
it.
got Link. All right.
Link is
Is
taking
Stork
the
taking
first
the fourth
watch.
watch?
Link is taking the first watch.
Fantastic. So we've got Link, Duran, Lark, and then Stork. And it sounds like Nox gets to sleep if they want to, and the animals will be helping. That sound good, guys?
Sounds good.
All right, and I'll extrapolate that for future checks if there's something that happens in the night. Righteous. And when you guys are, so the night passes uneventfully, nothing happens. But for the next day, when you're traveling on the road, how do you guys travel? Like, are you walking kind of in a group together, in a line spread out? Is somebody traveling off the road?
I'll be traveling off the road.
What?
I'll be traveling off the road.
Righteous. So
Okay.
Duran's traveling off the road. And
Link
are
is
you
in the
trying
center
to
of the group.
forage while you travel?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Righteous.
I'll be traveling
so
off the.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll be traveling off the opposite side of the road from Duran. Trying to see if I can force for some like any extra provisions we need for like animals or something for baiting traps if need be.
Righteous. Sounds good.
Knox
and who's
will
taking?
Knox will keep to the back, but still pretty close to the, like, essentially he'll stay at the back of the wagon following it. But every now and again he might like dip off to go try and find provisions if possible.
All right. And is somebody driving the wagon?
Yeah, Link is.
All right. Link's driving the wagon. And where's Stork?
I'm just gonna kind of shift between everyone. so I'm not gonna take like one spot. I'm just gonna go between everyone.
All right, sounds good. So give me a perception check. Let's see. How about it'll be on the southern side. So that would be whoever's on this is who's walking on which of the two foragers are on the south side? Was that Lurk or was it Duran?
I'm
So
good with either. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with either side.
I'll take the north side then. You go south.
All right.
Uh,
Lark, perception check.
Would we be okay to go with my passive perception?
So yes, the passive perception is automatically used, and if your active perception check is lower than the passive, it automatically will use the passive instead. This just gives you a chance to potentially roll higher than your passive perception.
Okay.
All right. On the second day, you notice way in the distance, by the tree line, you see a figure standing on a hilltop under some trees, or about a mile away. Hard to make out because of the distance. You think that they're looking in your direction potentially, because you can see like a small pale patch under their green cloak. They're wearing brown clothes and a green cloak, and looking in your direction from about a mile away.
I'm gonna keep them. I'll keep a mental note of where they're located at, and just as we're going, just periodically glancing over to see if they're trailing us or if it was just someone standing out watching the roads.
Sounds good.
Are you gonna tell anyone
Um,
about this?
I'll probably mention it over to Duran to try to keep an eye on his side because of noticing someone watching the roads. So if anything happens, I could go into the middle to
Okay,
help protect the wagon.
so you only mention it to Duran. You don't mention it to anyone else.
Well, y'all are kind of focused on the road itself, so I'm in Lark's eyes, I'm letting y'all. I believe in y'all to keep what's in front of the wagon safe. I'm keeping our side safe.
yeah, so maybe during the night when they
Okay.
stop, that might be discussed.
Yeah.
But it seems like during the day, it's
Yeah.
just kind of everyone's
Yeah.
carrying on.
Okay.
So on the about midday, or a little bit before afternoon, after about 3 or 4 hours of traveling, so I guess that sighting happened in the morning. You become within sight of the ruins of Karati. Although the map it appears to be a great distance, it's actually not very far away, less than 2 miles away. There's a big open field with some scattered tops of the trees, and at the foot of the jagged spike-like mountains, you see some bone white stone structures, one of them quite large, built into the foot of a hill. Um, and also, I think on both sides, there is a lack of animals of any kind at this point. It starts to be just really quiet and no sounds other than your own footsteps and the wind in the distance.
I knew we forgot something. Do we have a physical description of the individual we're supposed to find? I think it's you mentioned it. I think it was
The son
I
of
know.
Thelos. So Thelos is a fisherman and a priest. He's the person who has the church with the holy water. No description was given of the son, and I think the group was sent to meet him, and he would give the description. Was the plan?
Okay, got it. That makes it easier.
So just a pigeon with a letter asking for help, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think we should investigate these ruins. I think we should just push on the road. What do you guys think?
Keep pushing. Doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I mean we are on a
I
mission.
would like to poke around, but if the group consensus is to keep going, I'll be fine.
On the way
Righteous.
back, if we want to stop and make camp to kind of look around, we can. But let's save this child first.
Excellent. Okay, somebody roll a D100, and then we're gonna do a bit of a time skip.
Who wants to?
Skip to the meat of the adventure.
Okay. 92.
92.
Ooh.
Okay, add a character real quick. How did you do that whole roll thing in the chat?
So there's two main ways to do that. One is you can type /r space and then 1D and then the dice. So yeah, exactly like Link did, but without the quotation marks.
Okay.
The other way
Okay.
is on the left-hand side of the screen. You'll see some icons, and one of them is a D20 symbol. If you click that, it'll open a dice roller.
Okay. That
Yeah.
is good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see.
Ouch.
All right, so as you're passing through the you pass the ruins, you've camped for another day. You're rounding the bend of the road. This is past where the first expedition went. Off to the side of the trees in the forest. Duran.
Yep.
Was Duran to the north or the south?
I was to the north.
Okay. Lark. You see some sort of ruin, a small, just like something like some structure that's like decayed, seemingly a huge amount. It's a jagged corner of a stone building, deep in the trees, barely visible. You hardly notice it, but you do.
I'm gonna make a note on the map that that's where it's at, so I can relay it back to the air that we might be able to come out here farther out to scavenge for anything. Because if we have something outside where the other expeditions have been, we might find some other ruins and all that. So, because if there's one building with kind of a clear cut with trees near, that means there was something there before.
All right.
So
But
I'll
other
make
than that, you're making a note of and carrying on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
All right, cool beans. So the rest of the journey, we're just gonna, if you guys are okay with it, unless there's, we're gonna skip to the arrival at the church, unless there's something that the group wants to do during the journey, like any activities that are being performed each night, or any sort of stuff for the travel.
Yeah, so Link wants to do something. We're passing by this.
Yeah.
This seems like there's some forest around here, and I want to inspect the
Mm-hmm.
forest using my, my time in, out in the outdoors, just to identify which type of trees might be good to, for me to use my carpentry tools on. Because
Yeah.
I have that
You
carpentry
can give me
tool
a
skills. Go ahead.
nature, or if you'd prefer survival, you can give me a nature check, or if you'd prefer survival, you can do that. And either way, we'll add proficiency bonus if it doesn't incorporate it, and use advantage because of the tools.
I
So yeah.
do not have the tools. So just don't allow
Oh, you
that.
don't have the proficiency with the tools?
I have the proficiency. I do not have the tools.
Yeah, so the proficient, whether or not you have the tools on you, just being proficient with them represents the associated knowledge.
Okay,
So
cool.
you have knowledge of wood, and at least in relation to carpentry, and what's a good wood for carpentry or not. And with that, I think you find these are these are largely coniferous forests, and you've got some good Douglas firs that could be chopped down that would make good lumber. These trees, I think there's a lot more coniferous forests here than the more broadleaf forests on the old road. And it's different kinds of wood, good for different things. But this certainly looks like a nice spot to log if you wanted to do some logging at some point.
Okay, a logging
If that's what you were
location.
looking for.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was looking for a
information.
logging location. I don't have an axe, so I'm gonna need to pick that up. Okay, I will put that down. Could you
Alright,
mark that a
I'll
different
make a
color,
little.
like blue or
Um,
something, or red, or
yeah,
like
I can do that. I'll just.
green or something?
Yeah, There, I drew a little green X. It's the same area. The red is the spot, but this whole little clump of forest and extending south is a little bit different looking. It's a bit drier and less overgrown, I suppose. A lot less vines and brush in there than there was in the forest at the start of the old road.
Okay, thank you. Done.
Near the end of that day, I think it's like the third or fourth day of travel, you see there's kind of a big open plain and a deep valley, a dip right around here. And beyond that, just like on the horizon from your vision, there is a really tall hilltop, and you can see a structure on the top of this hilltop. It's so far away that it's just a speck, but it seems to correspond with the location on the map that has the name of the place scrawled out in some sort of script, or perhaps scratched out intentionally. Other than that, the rest of the journey, we'll just kind of, for brevity's sake, it's another after 6 total days of travel, you arrive at the decrepit church. I have a map for this, and I'm gonna move you guys to it. I did. Sorry, guys. Give me just a sec.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. All right, so there's a small creek that you begin here. I'll go back to the map so I can talk about that. So the main map does not have there's more stuff than just what's listed here. This is just the major rivers. There is a small creek that near about halfway through the 6th day of travel, you get the feeling that you're approaching the point where you were told you'd find this church. There is a creek, and it ends up dumping into a larger stream until there's a veritable river moving alongside the road. The terrain also becomes kind of dry and dusty, and there isn't much grass around. It's kind of like almost like a small desert of some sort. There's rock outcroppings all around, and small forests, clumps, but no major vegetation cover everywhere. Following the creek, and eventually leads, you see a clump of tree, a finger of forest extending towards you. And beside that finger of forest, up the road, you see a church. It's kind of triangular in shape, but rather large and impressive looking, or at least it would be if the paint wasn't peeling on the sides of it, and the stone covered in moss and old weathering damage. You guys approaching the church, or
Yeah,
taking some other action?
Link
So
wants
we
to
are
approach the
listening.
church and look for Bellic, the fisherman and priest.
All right.
Knox will approach, but he's mostly like poking around it
Yeah.
because he's curious
So
to see
you
what's
come up.
around.
Hell yeah. So as you approach the church, when you get closer to it up the road, the creek kind of goes a little ways past it. Maybe it's about 50 feet away. Or the stream. The stream is maybe 10 feet wide, and looks like it has some generous current rather than a dry creek, even though the surrounding terrain appears dry, and there's more vegetation around the creek than the surrounding ground. But out in front of the church, there's two large pools. They're stone basins, and there's idols of small statues of women surrounding the edges of them. And they're wearing robes and look like some sort of saints or holy figures. However, you don't recognize them as being specific to one faith or another. And the water in the pools itself, it looks there's no algae growing in it. But it's got a little bit of a kind of a brownish color to it. You can see through it, but it looks kind of full of dust or silt or something. There is a set of steps about 10 feet wide, and they're made of brown stone, and there's weathering on them as well. And like the rest of the church, they seem to be in some state of disrepair. At the top of the stairs, there is a pair of double doors that are made of stone, and they have handles, and there's also a large knocker in the center of the door.
Lark goes up and knocks on the
Oh,
door.
and one more thing. There's also high sweeping windows, and the glass seems to be intact. You don't see any broken windows as you look at it.
Lark goes up and
You
knocks
knock
on the door.
Link will accompany Lark.
Knox will try to look through the
All right.
windows.
Yeah. A lot of as Knox goes around the side of the building, looking through the windows. You'll see lots of empty stone rooms. One of which looks to be not in the major hall of the church. These seem to be windows to side rooms because all the windows to the great hall are a little bit too high for you to reach, at least on the ground level. But when you look through one window, you see a bed and a dresser and a portrait of a woman on the wall. And the portrait is kind of it looks really faded, and in some way it just looks like it's in ill repair. And at this same moment, while Knox is going around the side of the building and peeking into someone's bedroom, a voice, the door opens a crack, but not all the way. And because it's stone, you don't hear the footsteps on the other side till it's suddenly pushed open. And a voice says, "Who goes there?"
Yes, we got the message from the air about your lost son. We're trying to ask where have you last seen him and what does he look like so we know we're getting the right person.
"If you are a man of the faith, state your name."
I am Lark of the North. What is your name?
"I'm an old blind fisherman named Thelos, and I appreciate that you have come here to assist me. I'm afraid," and the door is pushed open. There's a hunched man wearing a red robe with a hood. His cheeks are fairly chubby, but his skin is cracked and dry looking. His eyes are milk white, and except for his nose, which is sunburned looking, the rest of him looks pale. He's hunched over, his posture terrible, and he seems to have some sort of hip injury as he kind of stumbles as he walks a little bit. He steps out, and the sunlight hits his face, and he stops and smiles for a minute, and then his eyes staring blindly ahead, says, "Come inside, come inside." And he turns around and hobbles back into the house.
Link will go inside.
Lark follows.
I'd follow too.
All right.
I call for everyone else to come in too. Come on in. Thelos has let us in.
Is
Take a look around.
Run from
before
back
going.
around the building.
Yeah. So Knox is continuing around the building. Is that what I'm hearing?
Knox is coming inside upon hearing being called
Okay.
before accidentally tripping on him over himself.
Knox nearly trips on the steps. And did Alex? Did you say that Duran was not quite heading in yet? Was he staying outside to keep watch?
Yeah, I'm keeping watch outside. We've got
Alright,
all our
sounds good.
gear, I'm guessing, in the cart, so I'll keep watch.
That's true. Yep, all the provisions are certainly in the cart. So inside, the door opens into a large, the great hall of a church, and there's several side doors along the walls which are currently closed, except for one in the back, which happens Nox recognized as corresponding with the place that led to the bed in the same direction as the bedroom. And the floors, they're polished in some places, and they're rather tidy looking, as though they've been swept by a broom. Although in one corner, next to a bench, there is a small pile of broken glass, and a jar which looks like it was filled with preserved food has been smashed in that spot and not cleaned up. The smell of dust meets your nostrils, and there's mildew covering the walls, and the glass has bits of brown on it. The light still shines through, but it reduces the magnificence and gives you an air of disrepair. The fellow sits down on a bench, and he doesn't walk with a cane, but he seems like he should. My son, he always wants to chase fairies, and he talks about going to the ocean. He has a special relationship with the sea, he believes. I think he met a mermaid or something once that swam up the creek there. We go fishing in the creek every day. He always stays too long. He never wants to come inside and help me with the cleaning. I'm blind and I struggle. He's a good lad, though, and I don't know what I'd do without him. He's helped me to continue living here after she passed. His name is Quathon. Has red hair, I think, or maybe it's brown. It's reddish brown, I think. I haven't seen it for at least a decade. But if I were to guess, I would say he went frolicking off into the forest behind. I would go look for him myself, but I fear I'd be prey for the beasts that lurk in that forest. There's wild dogs, you know, remnants of the old master of these lands. They would tear me apart. I wouldn't be able to see them or run away for that matter. But you, surely you're hardened mercenaries or something of the sort. Is that so?
Lark is gonna go
Yeah.
over and pick up the broken glass while kind of mention. Well,
We
I
we are
cannot, I cannot vouch for everyone, but I know the wilds can be a dangerous place if you're not ready.
Yes, nature can be unforgiving at times.
And what was Link gonna say?
I agree with Lark and Nox over there. Uh, I would characterize myself more as a hero than a mercenary, and I will do my best to find your son. You said Quathon was his name?
Yes, Quathon. Inspired by his grandfather. His grandfather was a magnificent sailor. A hero. That blesses my ears. Bless you, hero. Uh, I hope you have what it takes. Is there anything I could do to help you out?
Does he have any markings that or any features that we could tell at a glance of what he's that this is him?
I'm afraid
Oh,
my eyesight is not the best these days, and I would have a hard time giving an accurate description of him now. When he was younger, he had a soft face. His voice, he has a rather soft voice. Um, he's a soft-spoken soul. Um, yeah, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I do not know my own son's face now. I can only remember when he was younger. He's about 30 now.
Link will speak up and ask, when did he go missing?
He starts like touching his fingers like he's trying to count, and he like he looks kind of confused. And is anyone proficient in the insight skill?
I am.
Insight skill?
I'm proficient.
Anyone who's proficient in the insight skill, roll me an insight check.
I'm not, but I have a +1 in it.
Righteous.
Oh, I'm
If one
proficient.
other person, okay. Normally I'd have 2 people roll, but if there's 2 are proficient, then that's the ones who roll. All right. He looks like he's just taking a moment to Nox and Stork. You've seen people as they get old, sometimes the mind starts to fail, and as you see him kind of go back and forth, like he can't decide if it was like 8 or 4 or 5, or like he's having a lot of trouble, and his stuttering speech and his twitching, you think that he might be suffering from some age-related disease that has dulled his senses or his mental acuity.
I would like to ask
And
him if he
after
recalls. I would like to ask him if he recalls their last conversation.
last conversation, I think he was talking about hunting for fairies in the woods. He saw a beautiful woman there once. He talked about her to me. Uh, she offered him tea, I think. Or wait, maybe that was last week. He also told me about the mermaid in the river. Perhaps there's a mermaid that visited him. To be honest, I thought him making up tall tales. I appreciated it nonetheless, though, so I did not say as much. I think he has quite the imagination. I've never seen a mermaid out here. And in these parts, I fear if there was one, it wouldn't be the sort of creature you'd want to mate, if you know what I mean.
I doubt a mermaid could swim all the way inland here.
Yes, that's what I
No, what I
said.
think he means
Or
is
thought.
quite vicious mermaid.
Yeah, I think it might be
Oh.
a Marrow, an evil merfolk. I think if we go down the creek, we'll see it. So that's what I propose. That's what Link proposes.
I agree with Link. We need to check the creek and venture towards the woods from what we've been told. But first, Lark is gonna pull out one of his rations and give it to the old man, having a feeling if he's been having trouble remembering how many days it's been. When was the last time this gentleman actually had eaten? Because from picking up the broken jar, he doesn't know what kind of food this guy has had. So.
What is this when you hand him an object of food?
Normally, I would give you something I would have hunted on the road, but with the scarcity of the animals, I haven't been able to actually get anything. But this is one of some of our traveling rations. It should help sate any hunger you might have, or if you are okay for now, you'll be able to eat it later. It will not be the best food, but it will get you. It will be enough to sate you till we can find and bring back your son.
Righteous. And I just realized that there's something I forgot to describe from the journey, and just to avoid like having to retcon things, I will say that yeah, I guess maybe there has been a scarcity of game, but I think that around the point where that ruin in the trees was found, and Link was looking at the timberland, I think around that point there started to be the animals coming back, So it wasn't quite as like nothing alive. It was mainly near the ruins of Karadhi, where it was completely quiet. And as you've gotten closer to this part, the where the forest is, there's like the little finger forest. Um, it's true there's been almost no creatures in the desert place, but the entire ruined countryside didn't seem dead as a whole. But that doesn't change the conversation. I just wanted to say that so that I'm not improperly setting up the lore for the area.
Okay. Okay.
He takes the nugget of dried bread and takes a bite of it, and he just kind of like starts chewing it, and he takes a really long time to chew it. And you think he's just like lost in thought, or you're not really sure what's going on with him.
Can Nox try to roll a stealth check to like mostly dip off and go poke around in places?
Yeah. You can totally go look around. You can roll a stealth check if you're trying to be quiet.
Ooh.
Nox disappears, quietly slipping off behind the group. What are you looking for or looking at?
Uh, Mostly he wants to try and get back to that room he saw through the window, and
Okay.
maybe see if he can find something. Maybe even a picture of the one we're supposed to try and find,
Yeah.
or just anything
Um,
that catches his eye, such as shiny objects.
mhm. So going past the there's a door in the back which you thought would probably link up with the bedroom you'd seen. And as Nox like silently moves past the man and goes to the open door in the back, everyone else probably sees this because they're looking in the direction of it if they're facing the man. Is everyone else just kind of holding position, or is there something anyone else is doing at the moment?
Just gonna nod to him while he goes.
All right.
Lark is just going to give a stern eye, but stay with the old man.
All right. Through the door, there's a hallway with wood paneling on the walls and empty torch brackets. As a kobold, you do have dark vision, so you can see just fine in here. But it's a rather dark hallway, or it would be, and the torch brackets are not currently lit. Um, but there's pictures of saints on the walls, and give me a religion check, even if you're not proficient with religion.
Oh, I am proficient in it.
Excellent. Um, So you recognize them as saints of the faith of Pelor, a sun god who's related to the harvest, and they're a good aligned deity, and they're widely worshipped amongst the countryside, not the ruined countryside, but in the greater world. And yeah, they're associated with the banishment and destruction of undead and bountiful harvests, essentially. Um, there's a door at the end of the hallway, and there's two other doors on the right side. You think the door at the end of the hallway probably leads to the bedroom you saw based on its position?
Well, he'll go to that door and hope it's the bedroom he saw.
All right. The handle is not locked. You opening it?
Yes, but of course he can still try to be quiet about it.
Yeah, I think you're pretty far away at this point, so I want to have you roll a stealth check because, um, yeah, there isn't at this.
Lark
Yeah,
would be
we'll
talking to
continue
the
with the
old
stealth
man.
check. Yeah, from before. And did somebody say they wanted to say something to the old man?
Uh, Lark would have been talking to the old man to help cover any noises that would have been made
Oh yeah.
from seeing Knox
Um,
kind of scurry off, kind of just like, okay, I need to keep his attention over here. So,
yeah. And so you find some surprising. So in the room, there's a large chest, and this chest has like gold bands on it, and it looks pretty fancy, and it's rather large. Like it's maybe like 4 feet wide, and like a foot or two tall, and a foot or two deep. It's like a chest big enough that a person could hide inside of it. There's like a wardrobe, a large desk with a bunch of drawers, And this room seems like it's fairly clean, although there's a large portrait over the bed, and the bed is unmade and it smells kind of like there's a slight urine smell to it, but it's not incredibly strong. Um, the painting of a woman is kind of there's like a big streak of discoloration on it. Um, she has a reddish brown hair with slight curls, and her face is fair, and she's wearing a purple dress. So there's the dresser, the chest, the wardrobe, and the bed. And there's also a small altar of some sort. And there's a holy symbol, a large ornate holy symbol of Pelor sitting up atop it. What do you want to do or investigate?
Let's investigate that dresser first. If I can find
Right.
something.
Yes. So in the like the wardrobe or the desk. Or did I
The
say
desk.
dresser? I meant to say desk. I'm sorry. Uh,
Yeah, the
right.
desk.
So the doors are not locked, and you find a letter opener, a bunch of like parchment and letters, which are I think there's a bunch of ink on one stack of letters. Are you looking through those or continuing?
He'll give them a brief glance before just continuing.
Okay, yeah. So the letters with writing on them seem to be letters from a woman named Mara, who is presumably his wife or the person in the picture. They seem like kind of like just letters of correspondence, but there's terms of endearment that you see pretty frequently looking through them. This drawer is full of dust and seems like it hasn't been opened in a long time. So the other contents of the drawer, you find some prayer books, some just various odds and ends like supplies related to writing, a bunch of beads, most of which are made of wood, a couple of which are fancy.
Hmm.
Um, I think that there is a portrait of a boy in the dresser. The boy looks to be about 10 years old and has reddish brown hair with slight curls in it. It looks, you think, bears a familiar resemblance to the woman. It's a small portrait, the kind that one might stand up on their desk, but it's currently tucked away in a drawer.
Mm. Knox will pocket it.
All right. Anything else
And
that
now,
you're investigating?
oh yes, that chest has been on his mind, but he wanted to check out the desk first.
All right. So when you try to open it, it seems to be locked, and it does have a keyhole.
Mm. I wouldn't be surprised if the old man has the keys. So, uh, Knox will try to look up under the bed and the wardrobe to see if he can possibly find the key anywhere else before he does what he's about to do.
All right. Hanging in the wardrobe, you're surprised to find a suit of chainmail hanging from a very like kind of fancy looking hanger. And it's got little like gold sun symbols that seem to be like symbols of Pelor, but kind of stylized. And there's also a whole bunch of like robes and stuff. A lot of them have holy symbols of Pelor that are made of metal hanging from the necks of the robes. Looking
Okay.
through the pockets of them, you don't find any keys. And looking under the bed, you see a jar of like pickled something that's rolled under there. And I think that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of stuff under the bed.
Mm,
And it seems like it's been cleaned out or kept tidy,
which means nine
like the
times out
rest
of
of the
10.
floor.
Okay, which means 9 times out of 10, the old man has the key. Now, the way the chest is locked, is it with an actual lock or is it like the lock is inset onto the chest?
The lock is inset into the chest. It's lined with gold metal, which looks like it might have some actual gold alloy in there. It's not like purely the tone of gold, but it doesn't look like brass either.
Hmm. Uh, I could try to sleight of hand it to pick the lock, or I could do something a little more stupid. We'll
And
try to
how it
sleight of
rules,
hand.
if you don't have thieves tools, then it would just be
Uh,
if you're proficient with thieves tools, you can add your proficiency bonus. If you have thieves tools, you can roll without disadvantage. Using something like a pin or something, you could try to
mhm.
improvise lockpick, and that would have disadvantage and just be your dexterity ability modifier if you don't have proficiency with thieves tools.
Ooh. Then I guess I'm doing this the stupid way. uh, Knox will like pull like a small splinter off his quarterstaff if he can,
All right, yeah, you can do that.
and he's gonna use poison spray on it to try and at least melt the lock by a little bit, or at least
All
loosen
right,
things up. To yeah, he's gonna try
you
and melt the
project
lock
some.
just a little.
You, yeah, you project some magical poison upon the lock, and it slaps it wetly. And after a minute, the poison seems to have no corroding effect on the metal.
Darn it. Oh well, I got the picture. I'll just have to hope and muck up that I can grab the key from the old man another time. But he'll
Right.
try to stealth his way back to the group.
All right. If you like, I'll use the same stealth check from before. Is everyone
Okay.
else doing anything in particular while he's been doing this, or everyone kind of just making small talk with the old man and waiting?
Small talk while fiddling with the broken glass jar.
All right. Nox returns to the group silently.
Stern glare.
Uh, he'll give like a he'll give a look of he's sorry and just like quietly hang his head low.
Small nod.
I'm just gonna ask, silently whisper to him, what did he find?
He'll quietly whisper back a picture of hopefully the sun.
That'll be useful. That'll be useful.
Yeah, and that's how I met my lovely wife. I miss her dearly. Such a shame she died from the plague.
Feel good.
Well, we all have loved ones that have passed due to plagues and attacks and everything, but we all miss our loved ones. I have my family back at home. I haven't seen them for a while, but I'm hoping after some adventuring and everything, I'll be able to save up enough to go back to them. So,
Upon hearing
Yes,
the words loved ones, Knox will like shiver.
precious. Speaking of my family, uh you haven't found my son yet, have you?
Oh God.
if I had, I would have been the best trekker in the world.
Did I tell you where he is?
God, he's fully demented.
No, tell it. Where did you last hear he went?
I think he was looking for the fairies, or maybe for that mermaid. I don't know if it's real. It's probably imaginary, but if it's not, it would be better if it was. Everything here is messed up. There's nothing good in this place. I don't know why I've stayed here. I know why.
Well, we always need good men of the cloth. So let us be on our way, and we will see if we can find your son for you.
Yes, yes, the Baron wants my water. If you bring him back, you can fill up as much of this as you like.
I'm gonna side glance to everyone else and kind of just roll my eyes a little and just give a nod. Then let us be on our way. If we hear anything, we will be. If we find them, we will be back as quick as we can. If we are not back within a few days, send word back to the Baron. He's probably going to need to send someone else out here as well.
When my pigeon returns, I will do that.
Thank you. Lard gets up and walks to the doors.
I'm gonna follow him.
All right.
Nox, on the way out, will quietly whisper in Druidic a small prayer that he stays safe while we're gone.
Oh, right on. Loud enough for him to hear, or quiet enough where it's trying to do it away from him?
I'll do it loud enough for him to hear.
He kind of perks up when he hears it and says, "Words of the cloth, I hear. You're a professor of the old faith before my time."
Okay, one more time.
Yes, I do follow some of the old faith.
If I got it measured right, that's gonna be the last cut,
Well,
But
I hope you
I do
find my
hope you stay
son.
safe while we're gone. Thank you, sir. And I hope you stay safe while we're gone.
Well,
I'll be right here. Don't worry, I'm a powerful cleric.
Of course, sir. I wouldn't doubt you for a minute.
All right. Outside the decrepit church, there's the two dusty pools of water surrounded by the statues. You can see kind of a bit of grass around the creek, which is running from behind you, or it's a stream, in the direction of the road. On the other side of the road, a little ways away, maybe about a quarter mile, you can see a little trail that goes into the Finger of Forest, which is presumably the one he was talking about, because it's the only one you can see for a long ways around. What do you guys want to check out or do?
I believe we should follow the creek, like Link said.
Knox will pull out the small picture he took and say, "This. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I figured it would help. After all, he said he couldn't clearly remember what his son looked like. I did manage to find this picture."
You did very good.
I
And
still
indeed,
feel
you all
slightly
see
bad about it.
Small huff,
righteous.
but small huff, but looking at Nox, as long as that's the only thing you took, we do not need to cause problems if we're going to be trying to get holy water for the air from this man.
Of course.
Now then.
This was the only thing I took.
Okay. Now then, should we leave the wagon and the horse here so nothing happens to him? I'm asking the group.
What if someone comes by?
Yes, that is a general worry.
Do you want to leave the cart unattended?
Yes, I've unfortunately had that kind of trouble before. Leaving something unattended is a good way to lose it.
True. I'm just worried about it getting stuck, but we do have the extra wheel, so we'll just have to make sure we take it nice and steady down there.
That sounds more than acceptable.
Steer clear
I
of
just
any
hope I
bumpy
don't.
roads.
Nox will just like quietly whisper in Draconic, and I hope I don't trip.
Righteous. So you guys, you're taking the cart with you, I hear. Are you following the creek, sticking to the road, going into the trees? What's the plan?
I vote we follow the creek because of the mermaid.
All right.
Nox will ritual cast speak with animals and hopefully try to get some possible information from them. Like, have they seen
Righteous.
anybody around here during the last? How long has the sun been missing?
I think the
Anywhere
note came
between
about a week
4
ago.
to 10 days. Anywhere between 4 to 10 days, if not longer. So if we're
Yeah,
lucky,
he'll.
we'll have if we're lucky, we'll have a body. Well, if we're not lucky, we'll have a body. If we're lucky, we'll have him still.
Yeah, Nox will like try to ask the animals to at least ask them if they might have seen him, notice anything weird or strange.
Yeah. Okay, whatever they perceive, or are you using speak with animals for this?
Yes, I'm going to ritual cast it.
Okay. So there's some sparrows that like there's some sparrows that fly down or kind of like dipping their beaks to drink out of the pool, kind of clinging to the rough stone on the side of it. And you talk to one of those sparrows, and you're asking if it's seen any like people or something.
Yes, have they seen anybody, anything weird or strange?
Yes. I think it says that it did see, it kind of tells you that it saw a human um in the trees over there, pointing to the direction of the trail. Um, I think it also says it saw like a rattlesnake or something. Um, maybe a little on the about 100 feet away from the building, the kind of deserty area. And I think it also says that there's some good berry bushes in the trees, and that the current in the water
Uh,
is rather fast and not good for bathing in.
Knox will nod as the little sparrow is talking, but he'll make the mental note of the human and the berry bushes
Righteous.
before going back to the party and telling them what the sparrow has relayed to him.
I'm gonna ask him if they said anything about the person's appearance.
Uh, no, just that it was a human. But so far, it's the only lead we have so far.
Any
But I
lead's a
could,
good lead.
yes, I could go back and ask if he can recall any specifics.
Oh, please do if you can.
I will try. Knox will go back to the sparrow and ask, like, any if they saw anything specific about the human, such
The
as
sparrow doesn't
maybe.
the sparrow doesn't
Hmm?
seem to be able to comprehend most of the complexity of the question, being that its intelligence is not very high. Uh,
I was
it
mostly
kind of
gonna ask,
repeats
like,
that. Go ahead.
I was mostly gonna like look at the picture and ask it about maybe the hair color and
Hmm.
hopefully the eye color. But if
Um,
the hair color is the only thing I get, that'll be perfectly fine.
the bird, I think, says that its hair was green and round, like it had no hair and had a big its hair was green and round, basically is what it says.
Green
Mhm.
round. Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much. and he will head back to the party. As far as details, all I could get about hair is that it was green and round.
Are we sure it wasn't a shrub?
I am not sure. I would not be surprised. Most times the animals, they try their best, but sometimes details get muddled together. Such as they can see a human, but let's say there is something green on their head, it'll just most likely mistake it as the hair, even if it's something else, like maybe a hat, cap. It details do tend to get muddled.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for this person as well, but maybe they won't have seen where the sun went.
Hopefully. I will try to at least keep asking where I can. The more details we can get, hopefully, the easier it'll be to find him.
So where are you
Kind
guys
of wish I
headed?
could
Are
have
you
found
heading up?
something that belonged to the sun.
Lark is gonna pull his axe out and put it on his shoulder. Oh, let's start looking for him.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Link responds.
All right.
Alrighty.
Where are you guys looking? Up the creek, into the desert, in the woods,
Let's go check out this
around
creek.
the church?
Creek. I say creek.
All right.
Quick.
So one branch of the creek, kind of the way it's coming from, kind of parallels the road, and the way it's going, kind of goes a little bit more to the south of the road. Kind of diverts off to the south, running between the finger of trees and the church. And there's a little bridge going over the creek, like a simple wooden bridge that looks like it was constructed by hand. And it leads to the little trail, and then the creek continues to run southeast. Are you guys gonna start hiking along the creek, or are you looking in the creek's waters? What's the plan?
I'm gonna walk by the creek shore, just glancing into the water to see if I notice anything moving in it. Because if this mermaid is
Yeah.
supposedly coming through here, there might be signs.
Knox will
Okay.
take a look as well.
All right. You guys can each give me a perception or investigation check.
Time for team intelligence to get a rolls.
Investigation. Perception.
I am surprised.
Oh no!
Well, among the group, I think that at
You guys
least
notice
one
I'm not small.
person.
Trip.
Yeah,
I saw
Knox
that.
looking into the brook overbalances and splashes headfirst into it. The water is cold and rather fast moving, but not enough to be dangerous. And it's about 5 feet deep where you fall in, but it quickly becomes only like 2 or 3 feet deep. It's just a deep pool. Splashing into the water, you see some fish, but nothing large. Just some small trout. Um, Lark looking into the creek. You kind of, I think maybe you more check out the surroundings of it, and at a glance, nothing seems to be. You don't see any obvious signs of something large moving through the creek. There doesn't seem to be any big disturbances, but it's kind of, um, maybe it wouldn't be obvious anyway. But at least at a glance, you don't see anything that really makes you think mermaid.
Knox will he'll stand up using his staff to balance himself, his quarterstaff, and much like a dog would, shake himself off while in draconic just starts essentially berating himself for falling.
Righteous. What do you guys want to do?
Can I look
go-
around the lake, kind of the river bank, the creek bank, and search for any
Yes.
footprints?
Yes, give me a survival check. Yeah. So as you look around, you actually do find some boot prints, and give me an investigation check with advantage.
Thank you for
All right.
advantage.
Yeah, you find some. This is because you're taking a long time to look at it. At first, you find some boot prints, and after a little while, you decide that it's two different sets of boot prints, and that one is a little bit larger than the other. And after kind of following the trail for a little bit, you find that they're going back to the cabin or back in the church. Um, and going into the creek seemingly. And you find other ones around. A lot of them are pretty old. Seems like this area has been well traveled by two different people.
So I'm gonna tell my companions about what I found, point it out to them, and then I'm gonna go into the same place as you said. One of the footprints, one of the tracks lead into
Yeah,
the
it
creek.
goes. Yes, they lead into the creek.
I will follow that set of tracks.
All right. You find yourself in the creek. The tracks do disappear into the water. You aren't able to find a trail on the bottom. Unless you mean that you're like walking down the river and looking for more tracks. Or
Okay. So this is what I think happened. I think the two of them, Thelos and the son, were going down the creek. Thelos walked away. Son went into the river right here, into the creek, and then something took him, and maybe downstream or something like that. So that's what I think happened. I tell everyone about that, and I think we should just go down the creek.
In
Lark
what
agrees.
direction are the other boot prints going?
mainly back toward the at least around the ones that Link found. They're all between the the church and the creek.
Uh,
Which one should we
I
follow?
guess it wouldn't hurt.
Don't worry, little one, you got us here. Um, I agree with Link. Let's check farther along the river, uh, the creek. Let's try not to
Right.
get in the creek. From what we understood, we don't want you don't want to be on dangerous footing if something appears.
Righteous. So you're trying to walk on the bank beside the creek or stream?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So you start walking down the creek. For the first 15 minutes, nothing kind of stands out to you. It's just a fairly hot and dry day, and maybe you take a dip to cool off a little bit. But nothing crazy happens at first. Are you guys continuing to follow the creek?
Yes, from Link.
Yes.
All right.
Can I roll?
How long
Is it a
has-
nature or survival check to check for any like disturbance in along where we're walking?
Yeah. If you're looking for tracks as you go, you can give me a survival check. If more than two people roll, I'll just use the first two. All right, we got Nox.
Here, I'll try survival.
Yeah, so you find some animal tracks on the side of the creek. that appear to be like some deer tracks and some like canine tracks of some sort. But you don't find any human tracks. This like 15 minutes away from the church on the side of the banks. And Lark does not either.
Knox is
He did
half
say-
In the
tempted to
creek,
follow those animal tracks.
He did say something. The old man did say about wild dogs, so we might. Those would probably be worth investigating as well.
Where do these dog tracks lead to?
so they seem to be just going to the creek and then turning around and going back into the desert direction.
Okay, can I determine if they're just here to drink water or were they chasing something?
Yeah, you can give me a nature check or an investigation check.
I'll go with nature.
All right. You think that they were probably thirsty because it's pretty hot and dry around here, and you think it's pretty reasonable for them to go to the creek to get water.
Okay, I'll let everybody know that they most likely are just drinking water from here. So they did not chase our target.
Okay.
Yeah, the tracks don't. There aren't like the marks of like them running fast or anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's keep an eye on them, just be on the safe side, but that means we don't have to worry about we don't need to focus on the dog tracks then.
All right.
Okay.
So you're continuing down the creek for a little while. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So after maybe 2 hours of hiking down the creek, the next interesting thing you find is a corpse, and it's pretty stinky. You smell it before you get to it. And up ahead, you see some animal corpse buzzing with flies, lying in the grass on the side of the bank. There's also started to be more vegetation. And it's no longer quite as you've kind of come out of the arid, dry part, and there's a bit of grass and small shrubs and young trees on the side of the creek. Between some willow trees, there is a corpse. Looks like a four-legged animal with a bunch of buzzing flies.
What
Lark's
do I
gonna
have
go
to roll to
investigate.
try and identify the core?
I think I'm gonna have you can give an animal handling check, survival check, or not survival, animal handling, nature, or investigation.
I will do animal handling because I am proficient with that one. Oh, come on.
Lark's
Yeah, I
gonna
well.
go
think
up and look at the
it's
animal too.
it's something smaller than a horse. That's from you're maybe like 40, 50 feet away at this point. You think if you got close, you might be able to tell, but from this distance, you can't really tell exactly what it is.
Lark's gonna go up and
Not to like
investigate and look at the corpse, because if something took down an animal but didn't eat, then that is a bad sign for the area.
yeah,
Yeah.
not to like slowly go up as well.
So when you look at it, it's a dog of some kind, and it has gray fur. Its head looks more like a dog than a wolf, but it looks emaciated, and the it's kind of like partially chewed open on the side, and you can see its rib cage exposed, and like it looks like it's started to decay, and that's where all the flies are, and it's really gross and smells horrible as you get this close. Um, but yeah, and it's around its lips of this dog. There's kind of like, even though they're old, they're kind of like, I think there may be some remnants of dried spittle, but it seemed like it was completely foaming at the mouth when it died.
Rabies. That's great.
Knox will give it a small prayer in Druidic, hoping that it has found peace. As it is now once more part of the forest.
How close to the
Righteous.
creek is this body?
Right on the side of the creek, like it's like 2 feet away from the creek.
That's polluting.
Lark's gonna pick up the body and move the body away from the water supply.
Righteous.
I'll probably
Nox
move him out
will
15, 20 feet off to the side to the trees.
All right.
Nox will start to dig a hole near one of the trees to bury them.
All right. Nox is digging a hole near the trees while Lark carries it away. Lark, it smells just almost overpoweringly bad, and it almost makes you sick as you pick it up. And the flies buzz in your face, and you feel fluids from the carcass leaking onto your hands. Is anyone else doing anything while this is happening, or should we skip to the hole being dug?
Who's gonna stay?
Right.
I say we should skip, but this is also why I moved the body, because if there's fluids, we do not want that in the water. After I drop the
Yep.
body, I'm gonna pull out my water skin, the water skin, and try to wash off some of the stuff off my hands and arms.
So you managed the Nox digs a little hole big enough for the dog to fit in. It's fairly large dog, like not quite a Great Dane size, but in that direction. And the dog is buried in a shallow grave on the side of the river, like a little ways away from the creek.
I'll give it a
What do you guys want to do now?
take a swig from the ale flask and say, "Let's keep going."
Nox
Will
will
steal.
nod.
You carry on down the creek, and it starts as you kind of come over a hill, and you see in the distance the bay for the first time. Um, Up in the sky overhead, it's getting late, like towards evening time, but there's a great like bank of clouds that extends as far as the eye can see, and there's actually a haze over the bay, like that kind of makes it so you're not seeing that far out over the water. But you see a great structure jutting out to the south, maybe about like 5, 10 miles away. Some great like giant plank extending into the water. And you think that if you continued to until you were too tired to travel anymore, you would probably just reach the bay by the end of the day.
You said we're on a hill.
Yeah, you're on
I
a
suggest
hill,
we,
and there's a little waterfall in the creek up ahead.
I suggest we make camp here and we head over to this location uh, after first light, because if it gets dark, I do not want to be going through fog at night.
All right.
Because I've learned bad things come at you at night when you cannot see it the most.
Mostly using his staff to stay standing because he is slightly falling asleep. He'll quietly nod.
Righteous. It sounds like you guys are making camp. I think this is a good time for us to take a short break. We've been going for a little while. We'll be back in like 7 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. But yeah, now out of character. Yeah, that's why I wanted to move a body, because you don't want anything that could pollute the water right by the water stream, because that's how you get diseases.
Yeah, Nox understood, but he is a druid, so he understands to respect nature as well. Hence why he wanted to dig it a grave.
Yeah, dead bodies and water do not mix.
Yes.
Ugh. So how are y'all doing?
I'm doing fine. But I'm honestly surprised no one. Oh, I'm coming.
Ring the bell. You could have been the thing done.
Uh-huh. I'm just surprised that no one decided to try and talk to Knox about the fact he shivered upon hearing family.
Bum, bum.
Well, I was just trying to comfort the old man who missing a son and surprised he is still alive in that
Place
decrepit
by
church.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not going to get away. You cutting this line right here.
Yeah, Knox was slightly surprised that the man was alive too, but he was more intent on poking around to hopefully find something useful. He understands that sometimes he shouldn't do what he does, but if it can be of any help to him, at times it can be like the ends justify the means.
What y'all want to have? So.
I'm not too picky, so I don't.
Yeah, that was why the stern glare, but nothing else.
Yeah.
Normally, that's one of those things of communicate before you walk away, because who knows what will happen.
Yeah. He didn't really think about it because, one, he loves fiddling with things, so he tends to do that, and two, he also understands that time is of the essence, so sometimes you just got to do it. But I'm more than certain if someone brings it up to him about it, he'll be more willing to talk about when he's going to do something and not just like wander off like the child he is.
Yeah, you really made the dad of the group come out with that, with the looks.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, he's only 6 and he's out here doing this. And like that of any other child, at times they will like wander off. So sometimes you have to like tell him when he can or can't do something. Otherwise, he will just try to go for it at times.
All right, I'm back when everyone else is.
Oh,
Okay, I'll be right back in a second. I have to do one quick thing.
That's good.
yeah, I'm just making some tea real quick, but
Cool beans.
I can hear.
Just